Nintendo has recently refiled a patent for the term GameCube in Japan. Does this mean that the GameCube games could be coming to the Nintendo Switch? Google looks to enter the home console market and compete against Sony and Microsoft, and a strange investors meeting question pops up during Nintendo's latest investors meeting that just really makes me laugh, and I want to talk about it. All that and much more in the Friday, June 29th edition of RGT News. Let's go!
GT85 coming to you with the freshest video game news. Now take it away.
One thing that Nintendo owners really want to see on the Nintendo Switch are GameCube games. The GameCube is a really underrated system, had a great library of first-party games, a lot of cool third-party games as well, and was just a fantastic system in general. I reviewed the GC HD, which allows you to play your progressive scan GameCube games on an HD television very easily, and I absolutely loved it. It really breathed life into a lot of these old games, and I just absolutely love the GameCube. Well, the GameCube patent has been recently updated in Nintendo of Japan's patents. On June 8th, Nintendo filed for a bunch of patents, two of them being the Game Boy and the GameCube, so a lot of people are starting to speculate what this means. Could it just be something as simple as them updating the patent? Of course it could be. We've seen this all the time. Eternal Darkness has been re-updated for years and years and years now, and every time it happens, people get excited and think that a new Eternal Darkness game is coming, and of course it never comes. But it could mean something more. Some people think it could be the introduction of a GameCube classic, like we've seen with the NES and SNES classic, but then we would be sort of skipping over the N64 classic, which I think is the next system up to bat. So could GameCube games and potentially Game Boy games be coming to the Nintendo Switch? I think it's feasible, honestly. Obviously, Nintendo isn't doing a traditional virtual console on the Nintendo Switch. They're going it with more integrated into their online plans where you can access games from a variety of systems. So far, they said that NES and Super NES games are going to be available on this platform. So why not add in things like the GameCube? Why not add in things like the Game Boy as well? So I think you could potentially see something about this. Something could happen from this, or it could just be a circumstantial thing, like I said, that we've seen with Eternal Darkness. Personally, I would love to see GameCube games on the Nintendo Switch, so hopefully something comes to light from this situation. Blade Strangers is a game that I am looking forward to. Every time I can talk about Blade Strangers, I will talk about Blade Strangers. It is a 2D fighting game, very highly stylized. It looks absolutely gorgeous. It incorporates different characters from different Nicalis games, and I think it looks really cool. It's coming to the PS4 and the Nintendo Switch along with Steam, and we've been waiting for a release date. Well, we finally have a release date for this game, and it will be hitting on August 28th, and I am very excited for this game. I think it looks really good. It's going to have a story mode, arcade mode, challenge mode, survival mode, versus mode, online mode, tutorials, training, online leaderboards, all sorts of cool stuff like that. It's a really packed fighting game, and I think it's going to be really fun. It definitely looks very over the top, and I think it's going to be a perfect fit on both the Nintendo Switch and the PS4. So I'm really looking forward to this game. I'm glad we finally have a concrete release date of August 28th because I will be picking up that game, and we will of course be reviewing it here on the channel. Amy Hennig is a name that you might not recognize in the gaming industry, but she's been very impactful. She was actually the creator of Uncharted and of course was working on a Star Wars game with EA, but that game was eventually canned. It was the project that Visceral Games was working on that EA deemed to be too linear because, you know, you can't have a single player Star Wars experience anymore. It's all got to be this crazy online stuff because Shadows of the Empire isn't one of the best Star Wars games of all time that uses the offshoot. You know, all these awesome Star Wars games, Rogue Squadron, things like that. No, they really needed online EA. Yeah, totally. I agree with you with that. That was a lot of sarcasm, by the way. But it's sort of been up in the air what Amy Hennig has been doing since that game was canceled. Was she still a part of EA? Was she still working on this Star Wars project in any capacity? Well, it looks like she actually left EA back in January of this year and has been since working on an indie studio. This is coming from Eurogamer, who did an interview with her, and that Star Wars game has been put on the shelf and probably will never see the light of day. And honestly, it's really stupid to me because Star Wars games used to be so plentiful. There used to be so many different games. Think of the GameCube, PS2, and the Xbox era. Each system had their own unique Star Wars games on them, and there were so many to choose from, so many offshoots, and now that EA has the license, everything's come down to a trickle, and you really don't get many great Star Wars games anymore. It's definitely a shame to see her being treated like this, as she's done a lot for the industry, and I hope that her independent studio works out well, and maybe something ends up happening with this Star Wars game from EA, but I'm not holding my breath on it. Xbox has recently announced their games with gold for July of 2018, and and some people are not too happy with it. The 4 games announced are Assault Android Cactus, which is a twin-stick shooter that is available, an indie game that is available on the Xbox One, Death Squared, which is sort of a puzzle game that is available on the Xbox One, and the 2 Xbox 360 games will be Virtua Fighter 5 Final Showdown, which I think is an excellent fighting game, and Splinter Cell Conviction, which is a stealth-based game, of course, within the Splinter Cell universe. Now, like I said, a lot of people seem to not be happy about these games. A lot of people are hoping for bigger games, AAA titles to go with games with gold, but I sort of see Xbox maybe potentially shifting away from games with gold in lieu of Game Pass. Game Pass is obviously a more popular thing because it actually requires another subscription on top of the Xbox Live subscription. And when you look at all the games being added to Game Pass versus the games with gold, it's pretty night and day. There's a lot of AAA titles on there. Fallout 4 and The Division were recently added. There's a ton of 360 games, and I definitely think Microsoft is sort of shifting away from the games with gold in lieu of the, of course, Xbox Game Pass, because it's more lucrative for them. They can make more money off of it, pretty much get more people to sign up for the service. So it'll be very interesting to see how games with gold progresses from this stage on. Is Google trying to get into the video game home marketplace and compete with PlayStation and Xbox? It looks like they are, which I think would be very interesting. So there's a big rumor going around from Kotaku about a new Google platform that is codenamed Yeti that is looking to compete with the Xbox and PlayStation, and they're pretty much gunning for the PS5 and the Xbox One 2 or Project Scarlet. Now, there's not really any specifics about it, but according to Kotaku, they've been told 3 different things. One is that it will be some sort of streaming platform. 2 is that there will be some sort of hardware involved. And 3, there will be an attempt to bring in game developers under the Google umbrella, whether through aggressive recruiting or even major acquisitions. And I think the 3rd bullet point is the most interesting. It looks like they'll be skipping any sort of physical media, as this is, you know, a new console. They're probably trying to do something unique and different. Obviously, it works well with PC games, so I could sort of see why they're foregoing any sort of physical media. But I do think it's interesting that they are going to attempt to bring in developers under the Google umbrella, potentially buying out people, because Google has a lot of money, and that could really send big waves through the video gaming industry if companies are then, you know, exclusive to this new Google platform. Because if there's one company that can actually afford to do something like this, it's Google. So the ramifications could be absolutely massive for what we see in the future of gaming. Whether they go through this or not, time will tell. Obviously, a lot of these companies have dabbled and thought about entering the home console market, but you know, they never really seem to pull the trigger and jump right in. But Google, I think, could actually do something with this, and it could end up being something very interesting. So I'm looking forward to hearing more information about the Google Yeti, because I think it could be something different and unique. And the final bit of news is something just funny that made me laugh, and I wanted to talk about it. If you've ever read the Nintendo investors meeting reports, basically after they get done with their little presentation where they talk about sales and crap like that, they answer questions from stockholders and shareholders of the company. And some of these shareholders are just like some of the strangest people in the world, because they ask the most ridiculous questions. And this question just really stuck out to me and made me laugh very hard. So I wanted to share this with you because it's just so random and bizarre. This was the 15th question asked during the shareholders meeting. This is a nice building. The grass is well kept. It seems like the employees are working happily. The corporate value remains high. In regards to Mario, you lost the first round of a court case against a business that uses real go-karts and hurts your image. Why did you lose? What? Like, this is so bizarre. What kind of question is this? This is a nice building. The grass is well kept. Like, is this how you lead up to your big question to ask President Kimishima to ask about a go-kart thing? And Kimishima responded with the following: I cannot comment on details as it is still pending, but a judgment hasn't been reached yet. As far as our rejected objection to Marika's trademark registration, an article circulated that mistakenly said we lost. So basically, I guess they went after some go-kart company or something that had something similar to Mario Kart. I don't really know what this is referencing, but if you've actually taken the time and looked through the shareholders, investors questions, you would realize why I don't put too much stock into things when, you know, Nintendo stocks drop, because a lot of these people just buy the stocks because it is a profitable stock. There's portfolios, and their accountants probably told them to invest in Nintendo because there's a peak coming or a new game is coming. A lot of these people aren't gamers. So whenever, you know, the stocks dip or something, I'm kind of like, it's not a big deal. Stocks do that. They go up and down. But this question was just so bizarre to me that I wanted to share it with you guys. The grass is well kept. The building is nice. And that's going to do it for the June 29th edition of RGT News. Let me know what you think of the news in the comments section down below. Do you want to see GameCube come to the Switch? Do you think Google's going to enter the home market? And thank you for checking out this video. If you're new, make sure you subscribe to the channel, check out other videos on the channel, and I will catch you guys on the next video. Later.